Time now for our CBS 21 Political Insiders. With us, Tony May, the Democratic strategist, and Charlie Giroux, our Republican strategist. We're going to talk politics.
Yes.
A lot going on.
Let's do so. We'll start out with Senator Bob Casey. He has changed his stance on gay marriage, saying today that he actually now supports gay marriage. Why the sudden switch?
Don't know, but this much I am pretty sure of, knowing Bob Casey and having the tremendous respect for him that I've had through the years. It was a heartfelt decision. I don't think he stuck his finger in the wind to see which way the political winds were flying. I think he did this because he thought it was the right thing. He is a very devout Catholic, and he realizes that his decision flies in the face of the teachings of his church. So my sense is that he did it because he thought it was the right thing to do.
He does seem to think things through a great deal, Tony.
And I don't think that he would have done it without consulting a bishop or Monsignor, whoever his confessor is, had a long talk. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see this as a harbinger of changing more slowly, perhaps, an attitude on the part of the church in terms of civil marriage, like they do in France. In France, you go through a civil ceremony, and then you go to the church and church of your choice, and you get married there by the priest or the
And he wasn't
minister.
against civil unions.
No, he's always been for civil unions. And I think there's just been a real sea change in attitude. And although he may not be swayed by it, I'm sure he was swamped with phone calls, emails, and other kinds of communication in favor of this issue.
And it's a huge decision to make, especially if at one point you oppose it, and then to make that decision to switch, given that he is a devout Catholic. Do you think that was the factor, that he was getting a lot of pressure?
No, I'm sure that he did get pressure, but I don't think that ultimately that was the deciding factor. And my guess is that Tony's right. He probably had a conversation with his bishop at some point. As you know, there have been Catholic legislators who have been denied communion over their stance on abortion. It doesn't seem likely that that's going to be the reaction to the gay marriage thing. What will be interesting is the reaction of Pat Toomey, who has gotten to be politically fairly close to Bob Casey on some issues, who is also a practicing Catholic, and to see how he reacts to the senator's announcement.
Seems like one of our only chance to have a Republican and a Democrat talking in Washington. Don't you think, Charlie?
On a regular basis.
Yeah, let's talk about the Democratic primary field for governor for 2014. Today, we find out Tom Wolf of York County might throw his hat in the ring, or did, and Allison Schwartz of Montgomery County. There are two prominent people there.
Allison Schwartz has opened a political action committee, a state political action committee, to accept donations for a state campaign. Gee, what campaign could it possibly be? Tom Wolf has announced that he's going to be running officially. Not only that, but he said he's willing to put up $10 million of his own money. And we saw how far Tom Smith got in the U.S. Senate race on $10 million of his own money. It makes him a very serious candidate. Allison Schwartz is a very good fundraiser, makes her a very serious candidate. Joe Sestak has been the former senatorial candidate's been noodling about running. He's a good fundraiser as well. So there's lots of folks who want to take the job away from Tom Corbett for some reason.
They certainly do. And the polls, Governor Corbett, not very popular, but he says, I don't listen to the polls. But he has followed through on every single thing he's campaigned on.
He's kept his promises.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's a pretty good moniker to go into an election season with. And what's interesting is for the Democrats, they're going to have a fractious primary. Tony's correct that Tom Wolf says he will put $10 million of his own dollars into this race. Quite bluntly, he's going to need to, because I think he's going to have a hard time raising money beyond that. But $10 million makes you a very serious player. Allison Schwartz already has $3 million banked away. She's a prolific fundraiser. The question for her is, does her liberal stance on so many issues play outside of the Philadelphia region where she's from? And you've got other candidates on the track as well. Rob McCord, I think, is going to run. John Hanger's already announced, and out on the track, there's going to be a rock'em sock'em Democratic primary next year.
And well-qualified candidates, too. I mean, Tom Wolf is our first candidate who has a PhD from MIT.
That should be a disqualifier, probably.
We have to leave it right there. We're out of time.
Thank you guys so much. And you can catch our political insiders, Tony May and Charlie Giroux, Tuesdays right here on CBS 21 News at 5:30.